All right, guys, so here we are back at our debt payoff calculator. What I've done is I've added in 4 student loans. As you can see, I've put the interest rates associated, the balances, and then the monthly payment that I'm currently paying. So based on this, if I do the avalanche method again, where I focus all of my money, I'm making the minimum payments, and then any extra money I'm going towards the highest interest debt. Once that's paid off, I roll that payment and the extra money into the next highest interest rate and pay that one off, and so on and so forth. Okay. So if I don't add any extra money to this, I just continue with the normal payoff as it's shown here, then I will be debt free from these student loans in 8 years and 7 months. So that means I pay off this higher interest rate debt. And then when I'm done, I apply that payment to the next one and I snowball it that way. But highest interest rate first is the priority. So some of the things to think about here, this debt of student loan debt, it sticks around, okay? Even if you file bankruptcy where you can get out of a lot of other debt like credit card debt, consumer debt, and things like that, you can't really do that with student loan debt. And it's kind of, you're on the hook for it. So unless the government decides to forgive student loans, like there have been promises thrown out there and talk about it a lot, really you got to control what you can control. So you have to decide what you want to do. The debt hangs around. It's on your debt to income ratio. If you want to qualify for a mortgage, it factors in. Okay, so it can make things difficult in getting a mortgage. Some of you may have already gone through that on your own. And so let's just say you decide you want to see if you can pay it off in 5 years. And say, hey, in 5 years, I just want to be done with this. Or you can also say, hey, I want, I have my money set aside for the future and I know how much that is. And then I have my loans. So how's the split? Well, an 8% loan here is quite a bit. So I would probably dedicate some of your future ratio money to paying off that loan first. 4.9%, 4.5%, 5%. I can probably deal with those, but 8% is pretty high. So I might throw a lot or most of the future ratio at that until it's gone. And then when this one's gone and I'm onto my 5% loan, maybe I peel a part off and I start investing again more regularly. So let's just look at what this looks like. So let's say I want to try and be done with these in 5 years. So I'm going to pay an extra, $200 a month. Let's see what happens. Okay, we'd get them paid off in 6 years. That's pretty close. So let's say 250. Nope, almost there. 300, almost there. 350. Boom, 350. We get them paid off in 5 years. Okay, 60 months. So it doesn't really matter how soon you pay these off. The most important thing in my mind from an emotional standpoint is that you have a plan and you know when they're going to be paid off and you're consistent with that plan. It can feel like it's just going to take forever and there's so much debt and you're never going to get rid of them. And so having the end of the tunnel in sight, like understanding what you need to do to get there, and can really help give you momentum and make you feel the progress that's happening. So set a goal that excites you. If it's getting rid of the student loans in 5 years, then great. Let's say you want to do it sooner and you're like, hey, actually, I've looked at everything and I'm okay putting $500 a month on this. I'm still able to invest on the side into the future ratio. I still have some good money in there, but I want to throw more towards this. Then you're done in 4 years. And again, maybe you do $1,000 initially until this high interest rate one is paid off. And then you back off, right? Then you just only do 500 extra a month and you peel back the extra amount and invest it. Okay. So that's going to be one of your action items. If you have student loans, this kind of goes along with your debt. So you probably already should have done this, but go in and just decide what loans am I paying off and what is the order and how long do I want to be until I'm debt free from these debts specifically? What's my plan? And then automate your payments and set it. Okay. Just let it do its work, knowing that your future ratio is taken care of, your other needs are taken care of. Then from there, if you increase your income, right, you can put more money towards your debt, or you can split it in the same percentages to debt and future ratio, however you decide to do that. But if you earn more, you get a $10,000 raise and you want to just throw it onto debt to make that faster, great. That's totally fine because you're still doing wealth building over here with your future ratio amounts and you're still making progress there along with paying off this debt. So that's the payoff calculator. Again, if you should have done that, that was in your tasks. But if you haven't, you can go through it again and make sure you have a debt payoff date. It's important to have a date, be specific, understand how much money is going, and then automate it. Okay. Now, sometimes you're able to consolidate your loans and actually refinance them for a lower rate. So you could say, hey, I've got currently these 4, and I'm actually able to consolidate some of these or consolidate all of these into one single loan at 5% interest or something. That could be a really good trade-off. You can run the numbers on it, but it could be a really nice trade-off to have just one payment you're worried about and then throwing your money at that. A good opportunity to refinance some of the loans and get lower interest rates, especially if you have a lot of interest rates that are up higher. If you have a good amount of your balance, the bulk of these student loans, the bulk of it's at 8%. So if you were able to refinance this to 6%, that gives you a significant advantage. Okay, you're going to save money there. So consolidating and refinancing can work. Now, one caveat here is that there are ways to get your student loan debt forgiven. Okay, generally speaking, you can get it forgiven after 20 years. So 20 years for any undergraduate debt. If you had graduate debt, then it's 25. After that amount of time, any outstanding balance is forgiven, and whatever the outstanding balance is counted as income to you, and you're taxed on it. Okay, so you're going to pay a tax bill there, but the outstanding balance will be forgiven. Okay, but there is a way to get them forgiven in 10 years, and that is loan forgiveness for public service. So if you go into the public sector, you work for a nonprofit or you're working for a government agency or something like that, then you can potentially have your loans forgiven in 10 years, after 10 years of public service. So there's more specifics around that. But one important note, if you are planning or have a career in the public service, and you want to meet that requirement, they have to be federal loans. Okay. If you consolidate these different loans with some of the lenders out there like SoFi or whatever, if you consolidate, you can in some cases make yourself ineligible for 10-year loan forgiveness. So they've got to be the original loans. Some could be private, but they have to be the original loans that you got. So there's a lot of other requirements there. We're not going to go into all the details. You can Google the requirements yourself and check it out. But I just want to make you aware of that. So if you're in the public service, a nonprofit or something like that, 10-year loan forgiveness is a thing and it's possible, and I've seen people do it. And if that's the case, then maybe you don't worry about paying off as much of your loans. If it's going to take you 15 years to pay off your loans anyways, adding extra money, maybe you just make the minimum payments and you hope that in 10 years that's forgiven and gone. Okay. Totally viable strategy, but check the particulars before you do refinancing or consolidation of those types of loans if you're in public service. Okay. All right, guys, that wraps up student loans. If you have these, there's some action items for you to go kind of take a look and create your date for debt payoff. Debt-free date is for everybody. So at least having a plan of attack with all of your debts. I want you to list it out in your action plan so that it's there, it's written, and then enact it, right? If you have to set up automatic payments to go pay off certain debts at a certain amount, then go do it. Make sure you implement what you learned in this module and you'll get the best results. So we will see you guys in the next video.
Your debt-free date starts with today's plan.